Good evening, fiends. Welcome to another episode of Sinister Parlour Podcast. I'm Zombie Barbie, and always with me is my awesome and amazing co-host, the one and only Bud Vino.
Rhiannon and Nicole and Bud Vino, the dynamic duo on Halloween night. It's the trio because we have a special guest co-host tonight. We're so lucky. And what better night to have him than our friend, the man, 1998 H20's Chris Durand. Michael Myers, thank you, sir, for joining us.
Glad to be here. Good to come talk to you guys again.
Yeah, hell yeah, I'm so excited.
Yeah. Rhiannon, we were saying, I was telling Chris, too, at the beginning of the show, we felt bad because Michael waits all year, for Halloween night, so we can do what Michael Myers does. And I said, well, Chris and I have gotten to know each other over these months. I said, well, I feel bad. We got to have him on the show so we can distract him from that depression. And look, he's smiling and laughing already, so it's working. My man, Chris Durand, thank you so much, buddy. You're the best. Thanks for joining us.
It's going to be a weird year. I'm going to have to stalk, social distance stalking. Doesn't work as well.
No, but you know what you're doing though, Chris? You're adapting like all of us, but quicker than most. By next Halloween, I bet you'll be right back at it one way or the other.
Hey, just wait till next year with all that pent-up energy.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, you're going to be like a caged animal let out after all that time. Awesome stuff.
Sorry.
Rhiannon, go ahead.
I was going to say, I've actually watched Halloween H20 in the last week, probably about 3 or 4 times.
It's been playing right now on TV. People keep messaging me. It's been playing a lot.
Yeah. And that was a hard one to...
You messaged me, Rhiannon, and so did my buddy Brian Peasley about the Halloween marathon they were having. A lot of people have said that, too. They're playing like H20 again, a lot of those movies, which is awesome. You guys ever find that even though you've seen it a million times, that they're on TV, you watch them for some reason because it's on TV?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because you don't have all the options you do when you have it recorded. I guess maybe you do nowadays.
Yeah.
Well, it also gives you breaks, and you kind of see it at a different pacing. It's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I always notice stuff, like if it's on TV, that I didn't notice if you're completely immersed because you're kind of coming and going. And
yeah.
I don't know. I tune in a different way.
Yep.
Maybe you're more relaxed because you're not so drawn into the movie as a whole, but then I kind of notice little details. Makes it kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what's funny, guys? Before we came on, just for some, I always like to watch things that relax me before the show. So I watched 1984's Nightmare on Elm Street. Just to keep myself calm. But no, there's trivia on some of them through Prime. And I love, because they'll give you like the goofs or the little just Easter eggs. And they'll let you jump to the scene. So there's still some things in there that I hadn't even known about. And I was looking at it before the show and I'm like, wow, there's some really cool things that you can jump on and look at. It's just so funny when you actually notice and you figure out the little loops and gaps. It's pretty awesome.
That's super cool. Nightmare on Elm Street. I love it. See, I remember it was nice this year that they did have all the Halloween marathons because it was on all weekend. I was at my boss's house and he has cable. I don't have cable. I just have streaming services. And so all weekend I had all the Halloweens going and I kept going forwards to see when yours was coming on. I'm like, okay, it's going to be on.
Did you marathon the whole thing?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's funny because even when I see it still, because I've been really lucky getting to know you, Chris, over these few months since we did that first show. And I got to say, I'll make Chris blush because he's a very humble guy, but he's one of the nicest, deepest guys, and honest guys you'd ever want to meet. So I've been very lucky. But it's funny in watching H20, I still don't put it together, especially maybe getting to know you more as a person. That, oh, wait, that's Chris. And I'll still be like, ooh, H20, I want to watch that. It's a fun movie. I love that movie. And I'm like, oh, hey. I'm like, hey, family. I've called my family. Come on, kids. Go watch Chris killing people here.
That's our
He's
friend.
a really good guy. Yeah, so, no, but it's really cool. It's just fun. It brings you back to that time when you're in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Just all those childhood memories.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you kind of flash back to when you first saw things and kind of the effect they had on you. Mm-hmm. What's really neat is some of these franchises, like, they keep going. You keep seeing them in a kind of new light.
Yep.
And they hold up through time. It's really kind of fun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like Nightmare on Elm Street, like you were saying, Bud. Nightmare on Elm Street, I have the whole box set, and I will marathon the whole thing, and I'll still catch things here and there. And I was like, oh, shit, I forgot about that. Or things you never noticed,
They never don't get fun. And H2O is one of those ones, Chris, too. I love the, I guess it was the time or whatever, just the music. And I know we talked about the score in the other show and things, but just a fun score. The whole thing is so, it feels like a Halloween movie, and it feels like it's not just that, in terms of the season as well. It seems like it's actually during Halloween, which is, I think, important.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you guys a thing. What was your first scary movie you remember? Like the one that really got you when you were a kid, and how old were you?
Rhiannon, I'll defer to you.
I know.
Ladies first.
So I was 5 years old, and it was actually Nightmare on Elm Street. So my mom is a huge horror movie fan, and that's how I got into it. And I remember she was watching it, and I think she had told me not to. And so I came up behind the couch, and it was right on that part where he was on fire, and he's like running up the stairs, and she's sinking. And I was scared shitless. And for years, I was so scared of Freddy Krueger. But that was the first one I saw. But after that, I would, start watching them with her, and she's like, okay, are you sure you can? Yeah, I can watch it. I'm fine. And I'd be scared. I'd be up at night crying over certain movies. Like, even Leprechaun.
Sure.
Leprechaun scared the shit out of me. But I still loved them. But that was my very first one I ever watched. And I wasn't supposed to, but I did.
Right. Well, that seems to be the case for a lot of people. Like they snuck into the room or snuck downstairs or, watched from around the corner and then had nightmares forever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then somehow it resonates still and you come back to it and you get drawn to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking to your point, Chris, one movie that scared me when I was younger, and it was exactly that. I snuck out, and my parents, when I was about 5 years old, 6 years old, were watching Motel Hell.
Oh.
And I snuck out, and the way the couch was in the living room, I was able to see, kind of like I believe you said, Rand, snuck behind the couch, and I was kind of looking. And it was at the scene where the people were buried, and they were cutting their throats, and they were, like, gurgling.
Yes.
And it asked me, like, that's what I really remember. Like, I got to know if it's that positive. But one that really freaked me out also was Prom Night. Speaking of Jamie Lee Curtis and things like that. And when I was young, the way it's written, it freaked me out, but I thought it was called Prom Night for the longest time. So when I'd be freaked out, like that movie Prom Night, I was a little kid. And it was the scene where she falls out of the window at the beginning and breaks on the glass. Do you guys remember that?
I don't.
It's at the very beginning of the Prom Night.
Very well, but
yeah, it freaked me out. Go and watch that when you get a chance, because at the beginning you'll see that scene and say, oh, that's the scene that Bud had nightmares about for years. It's really started cool. So you guys will be able to go check that out.
I'll give you mine, okay? You're going to laugh because comparatively it's so sedated. Of course, I'm a lot older. But I was 5, and we used to go down on the weekend as a family to the pizza place. And they had kind of big bench seating and big tables and stuff. It was really fun. Kind of sawdust on the floor situation. And they always had movie night. And usually it was something pretty family friendly. And for whatever reason that night it wasn't as much. And The Blob was on with Steve McQueen.
Yep.
And I jumped to my bed for about 2 months because I was convinced it was under my bed.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a classic, Chris.
Oh, it is, but if you look at it now, I mean, the difference in kind of, the level of not only the production, but the level of, and the maturity of the scares and the violence of what you'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's kind of this innocent throwback movie that's really campy. But as a kid, I mean, it's what you have. It's relative to what you had around you.
Yeah.
And it hadn't developed yet, really. So that was frightening.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't eat jelly forever because of that. That movie scared the shit out of me, and I fucking hated grape jelly. I wouldn't eat it. I was like, no, I don't want to eat that. It disgusted me.
Yeah, they redid it at one point. I think there was is it Creepshow that does kind of something like that in one of the segments of the movie where they have it. I forget exactly what it's called, but they have something like that where they're all at a lake and they're all. I think it's called The Raft or something.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's kind of this weird concept of the scene that eats them. But speaking to your point, Chris, it's one of those things too. Back in the 70s and early 80s, I was really into a show called Land of the Lost. You guys know the movie they made.
Oh, yeah, I remember the show, too.
And I loved that. That was by far my favorite show. But the Slee Stacks freaked me out as a kid. And going back and looking at it now, it's kind of comical, like you said, that how tame and sort of innocent it was. But that's kind of what was great about it.
Well, yeah, it was a different time, for sure. I mean, I think now some of them get too graphic, and they rely on kind of gore instead of relying on like psychological scares and being smart story-wise. I mean, listen, when you get back to things like Psycho, what do you really see in the shower scene? It's all suggestive.
Right.
Right? So that to me is always much more effective because you'll fill in the blanks, and that's, you're going to come up with something better than I can show you. And if you just show everything in kind of a gory detail, if you will, and just, lay it out in front of you, you're not using your imagination anymore. And it's scary in a different way. But there's also a thing that I don't know if you guys agree with this thing. I think some shows, especially with creatures, show the creature too well. Yeah. Because to me, if you've got those glimpses and you're frightened and there's the shadows and all that kind of the little motions and everything that scares you if you're like home alone at night, But if you see it, I think there's a different part of our brain takes over and you start studying it. And you start looking at it as a curiosity, not just as something to be scared of. So I do anyway. I start, writing it down, and then it's not so scary. Yeah. So it loses its effect. So to me, less is always more to me.
I agree totally. It's funny that you mentioned that too, Chris, about Psycho, because Rhiannon actually messaged me that she was watching H20 might have been last week, and she was referencing the scene we had talked about before with Jamie Lee and her mom. And we're talking about the car and all that. And I happened to be watching Psycho, and I actually paid special close attention to the shower scene because knowing that there isn't, if you actually watch that especially with that in mind, that it's a lot of it's so suggestive. They really don't show anything much, and they don't show any knife penetrating. They don't show anything like that. Yeah. And I couldn't agree more because anyone can do the blatant gore. That's not really what scares you in that same way of that tension build-up. That's where the art comes in. If you're able to do that, it's hard to do. To be able to get somebody where they're tense and they're literally on the edge of their seat, not because they're throwing up, but because they don't know really what's going to happen next in that uneasy safeness, obviously, of being home or wherever you're watching it. But that sort of art, to be able to actually come up with a story that's interesting as opposed to just some axe buried in someone's head, literally with, being able to see all the detail. That's not art to me.
No, and you want to be able to tell it in a subtle way, and you got to build that tension. If it's all graphic, it's like,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyone can do that.
It's the difference between a jump scare and a real emotional scare. Jump scares are effective, but not for a whole movie. So
right.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's obviously a newer movie, but Paranormal Activity, I liked how they did that. You never once saw what was messing with them. I didn't like the ending, but like through the whole entire movie, you're waiting to see something, but you don't. You just hear it, and you remember like when they put the flour all over the ground, and then you heard it moving and stomping, and then in the morning you saw the hoof marks. So you never saw the demon or the ghost or whatever was there, but the whole time you're like, what is that? Oh my God, I think I see it. Do I see it? No, I don't see it. So I thought that was pretty cool with that.
You kind of want to see it too, and that's the whole point.
Yeah.
You kind of want
to see Paranormal Activity. I know. I've never seen it. It's on Prime. I'm going to watch it. I knew Rhiannon was going to yell at me for that. I'm going to watch it, though. I actually, it's been one of those ones, you have those ones where you're on your list of things to watch, and you're like, it just isn't totally fitting today.
Yeah.
But I'm going to make it work, because I've really been wanting to watch that original.
Just have kids and you don't see any movies for a while.
Yeah, you can watch a whole one, yeah. Exactly.
Well, I started mine young. I made her start watching them with me, the horror movies. And so, yeah, she was young. And I remember we watched Nightmare on Elm Street, what was it? Interview with the Vampire. And we were watching the whole thing, which is not really scary, but, we're watching it. And the only thing she said at the end was, Aw, she got blood on the couch because he like made the girl bleed out. Aw, she got blood on the
That stuff
couch.
doesn't come off easy.
She's like, Mom,
Go
it's
on her.
hard to clean. Yeah, she's.
So, Chris, they've got this pandemic has got a lot of people locked down. What are you doing this fine night in this season to keep your spirits high and suggest for everybody else out there? Watch some scary movies, some of these movies we're talking about, or what, bud?
Yeah, I'll watch some of the movies. I mean, I'm going to, in just a little bit, go and watch kind of a crossover. We're going to do the Nightmare Before Christmas. That's what the kids wanted to do. So, cook some food, hang out together. Hopefully you've got family or friends or Skype with them or FaceTime or whatever you got to do, but get them in the same room with you and have a little bit of time together.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I couldn't be more
frustrating. You can't get out and about, but we'll get there. We'll get back.
Well, yeah, and this year I figured we're gonna do since we are kind of cooped up, we're gonna do like a Halloween candy scavenger hunt inside the house.
Nice.
And we're gonna dress up like members of Cobra Kai because the big thing in the house with that series. So we're gonna hunt for candy looking like members of Cobra Kai running around the house. Should be fun. Starting new traditions. Well, I figured, what can we do that we would never do if this hadn't happened? So we'll start a new tradition. We're gonna hide candy all over the place, and hopefully we'll be able to find all of it.
You'll find it like
we'll have some drinks in midsummer. Yeah. What about you, Rhiannon?
Well, I don't really know what I'm going to do. Definitely, my kid's older now, so I like to go with her and dress up and trick or treat. I don't think we're closed down completely, but she's just not into it now. So I'm going to just binge watch tons of horror movies. And now that you can rent all of the ones that are in the theater, we're probably just going to rent a bunch of them. So, there's one called Come Play With Me or Come Play. It looks really good. It's like this kid that he's autistic and he really learns well on his like tablet and stuff. And so he downloads this game where he does something like that. And it's this entity that comes out of the screen or whatnot and starts, messing with the family. So it looks really good.
Sweet. I'm gonna do the possession experiment directed by our buddy Scott Hansen out there, Bad Candy director.
Yeah.
In Desiree.
And Human Centipede.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try that one. I'm gonna do Paranormal Activity. I'm gonna try that. And Alice and I have to do It Chapter 2 because we still haven't done that.
Oh shit!
So, but she every time it comes on the list, she's like, so I know she wants to. She gives me little hints, like getting excited like a kid. So I know she wants to. She actually does it for me, but she's really the sick one. I do it for her. I had to keep up appearances. After 14 years together, I still have to, she has to pretend she's scared, and I have to play the patriarch and everything else. So we got it down.
But really, it's you that's scared, and she's like, "Gosh, bud, it's okay." Jeez.
Right. Okay, come here, I'll hold you. But it's really like
It's okay, baby.
I'm holding her. But then I have to sit up straight, so it seems more masculine.
So, are there any, Chris? Are there any movies you generally do watch yearly? Do you always? Like I like kid movies and also scary movies. So, like my, not even kid movies, but kind of that our children can watch. I like Hocus Pocus. I like Halloween Town, I almost said Nightmare on Elm Street, Nightmare Before Christmas. Those are really good ones. But are there any certain traditions that you guys do watch?
No, the kids like to switch it up. I just kind of let them pick. So Nightmare Before Christmas is one they like to get every year. Growing up, holiday stuff was always like Rudolph and the Grinch and I don't even know the other one. It was with Heat Miser and all that stuff. It was all those kind of fun things, and you'd wait for them. You'd wait for them to come around. So now everything's so much on demand, and the kids kind of are more fighty about it. But we just let them kind of pick something, and we'll all decide. We don't really have one. I'd say Nightmare Before Christmas is the one that they kind of always watch. No, but not too much, actually. We'll see if they tune in as they get older to something specific.
Yeah. Have you seen Coraline?
No.
Oh, that's so good.
I don't think so.
What is it, Rhiannon?
Coraline.
No, I haven't seen that either.
Oh man, I thought for the longest time Tim Burton did direct it because it's just like, I mean, not just like, but it's the same type of like the claymation or whatever, or the still motion, whatever you call it. It's so good, and it's a little bit darker than Nightmare Before Christmas. And there's like some scenes where you're like, oh my gosh, but it's so good. I love it.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
Chris,
If it's similar to that,
no.
What'd you
My
say?
cat Karma always comes around and goes through my legs like during recordings like this.
of course.
I think she gets curious. Yeah, she's snooping around. This is what she shows me love when I can't really pet her, but when I try to pet her, she runs away. I have to chase her around the house trying to pet her like a fool. And then when I can't do it, like right now, it's like she knows that she's all over me. Like, that's good, so not, whatever. Later on, you're not going to get away. I'm going to pick her up even when she bites it.
She's like attacking you.
Yeah, she's just looking at me. I'm going to probably do Friday 13th 3 at some point, too. As you know, that's kind of one of I love Friday 3.
Yeah.
I brought my clean barn 3 in honor of 82's Friday 3. And give a shout out to Larry Zerner out there, Larry for Friday 3. And I told him I was going to give him a shout out. He's an awesome friend of the show, too, so I'll give him a shout out there, too. And, yeah, I wish everybody out there in Austin, as Chris said, we're all going to get through this. So we're trying to have a little fun. So the people that are down and out tonight, you're down, but you're not out. And we're here. And Michael Myers is here, and he's watching you. That's the freaky thing. If you look, this is Michael Myers, and he's watching you.
It's like the Halloween
So you're going to have a great, yeah.
Yeah, it's a new way to lurk. I'm going through your computer screen and through your camera. So.
Right. Yeah, that's how Chris freaks you out, too. I get messages from it's just Michael breathing. And it's so mentally scarring, and it gives you nightmares. Michael kills you on that whole other level. You're innovative, Chris. You adapt. That's the wonderful thing about this shape. He is pure evil.
It's an amorphous shape. You got to keep moving.
Yeah. Yeah, and you look good, Chris. From the show you were on, you're nice and shaven. I didn't recognize you at first. Man, you look good.
That's what happens when you get work. They want to cut your hair and make you shave and all that good stuff. So.
Right. That's a great thing. Yeah, Chris is still kicking some ass, Rhiannon, right through the pandemic.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It's hard, though. Boy, I'll tell you what. It's a lot of steps to jump through before you can even get on set.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
I can imagine. Yeah.
But you got to do a long-term COVID test, and then the morning of, you got to do another COVID test, a quick one.
With the nose?
Yeah, both of them.
Oh.
Yeah. And then there's one that's a slower thing. It's a more, I guess it's a more proficient test. But then there's the quick version that you have to do the morning of just as a double check.
Oh, jeez.
And, everybody's kind of limited and you stand away. It's not the same, boy. One of the things about a film set that's fun is everyone's hanging out and everyone's together. Mm-hmm. So everyone's got to avoid each other, and you got to really limit your contact. But still trying to get some content out there, which is good. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be different for a while. You don't go in and do big group scenes like a big group fight scene or something. It's going to be rewritten into something else. It's a little more sedate. So we'll get it. Just keep trying to go.
Yeah, I give you a lot of credit, Chris. You balanced it a lot in doing that too. I just thought of that too, and as you were saying it, that's one of the things I'm sure that's most enjoyable. And the thing you talked about on the H20 set is that camaraderie and that sort of banter and being able to kind of enjoy each other and just the energy of it all. I'm sure a little bit of that's taken away. Is it kind of knowing that and hoping and soon it'll get back to normal that kind of keeps you going in that way too? Because I know there's a lot of aspects and you have a lot of range in the work.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons you go and work. I mean, one of them is, you want to tell the stories, you want to do a good job. And then there's the element of the kind of day-to-day, you want to enjoy it. And that element's kind of gone for the moment. So it is more just work, which takes away a little bit of the fun. I mean, listen, this is a business. If you're not having fun, you're in the wrong business, right? Mm-hmm. So, but that aspect is kind of, it's got his legs cut out right now. Because you got to jump through hoops just to get there. And then, I've seen so far, and I suspect coming up, that your scheduling gets better because with contracts, you can come in on a day and work, they got you there for 8 hours. They might bring you at 8 in the morning and you got till 4. So they might not even get to you till 2.
Yeah.
Right? Or maybe 4 when you go over, it doesn't matter. From what I've seen so far, they're tightening the schedule. So if they bring you in at 8, they're probably using you at 10 and you're out because they don't want people hanging around and crossing each other. So they want to minimize that.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a little bit of that fun out of it. But, at the end of the day, you still get to play Cowboys and Indians.
Yeah, at least you're going to do
Well,
it.
one of the things that's worked for me through all this, and I know Rhiannon being a writer, and I got to give Chris a lot of credit behind the scenes, he's inspired me a lot in terms of helping me with my writing and things like that. So that's something that I've done a lot more of, and I know you guys have too. And I love you, Chris. Thank you for being awesome. But also to the people out there, that could be something that might be cathartic. For some people, put the pen on the paper, literally. And I have my trusty notebook, which I use. So I think, what do you guys think? Maybe writing some of that stuff out, getting some of that stuff out.
Absolutely. I mean, that's listen, people sometimes are looking for good stories and they have something in their brain and they're not realizing that they're the ones who are supposed to tell that story.
Mm-hmm.
So they should absolutely put pen to paper, and so many people are afraid to try.
Mm-hmm.
And the worst you're going to do is you're going to fail, just like anything. You fail at first. It's fine.
Yeah.
You sort it out. You can rewrite it. And you can restructure it, or you can throw it away and go, that was a dumb idea, but that's okay. You worked it out. And then you get on to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's a good way to kind of calm yourself, too, and get some thoughts down and get some clarity.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes your mind's jumping all over the place with this stuff. Feeling locked down, feeling stuck, and then you can kind of realize, I guess it gives you perspective. You can realize it's not so bad or something. So, yeah.
I know, I got to get my book done in a month.
You write about it, so what do you think?
I have an entire book due in a month. And although I should be sitting down writing, it's hard because I'm so busy lately. And it's like, but I do need to just sit down and just write it and stuff. But I have noticed that when I am stressed and stuff, it is nice to just lock yourself away in a room and just write everything down. And how you were saying, it could be bad, it could be good. But one thing I always liked as a writer is that as you're writing, I mean, you can just change things. And like when you finally realize, this is mine, I can make this any way I want, or I can make this character any way I want to make it and explain things exactly how I want it. It's really cool. But that's you, that is your work. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. It could be, and I'm the type too where even if I have a block and then it starts, sometimes if I have just something that triggers me, I'll just keep writing and I won't stop until it stops. And that could be half an hour or hours. And sometimes it feels so good after. And as you said, Rhiannon, because you can go anywhere you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's all within your control. So, and again, it can bring you in directions you didn't even know you were going to go.
Oh, yeah.
Which is pretty awesome. Yeah.
Well, that always happens for me. I have something in mind and I start out and it takes a life of its own and wanders off some other direction. The hard thing, like I'm doing one book, which is it's a real life story, so you got parameters.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to get a whole bunch of information in, so I have to kind of outline it really, really well. But then I just let it kind of come out however it wants to within that outline, because it's never what I expect. I always have some idea of how it's going to go. Now I'm attacking it, and it always veers, and it always comes out in some other cool way. And sometimes you don't feel like you got down the idea you wanted to, but other times you got 20 others that you didn't know you had that just pop up. So it's really cool.
Well, if I could, guys, I have to speak on that, Chris, because you really helped me with that, because in my writing, you really helped me, Chris, to not limit myself mentally in terms of getting so blocked with a particular idea. Just kind of allowing myself to be able to kind of go in all those directions without being so stringent on one certain idea, kind of being able to throw things away and just going with it. So, absolutely, man. That's awesome. You definitely practice what you preach, brother.
Yeah. I've written scripts and written scenes where I felt like, you've got an idea of what you got to get, how you advance in each scene, and what you're going to get out of it, what information, because everything has to be important. It's all got to be there for a reason. You don't just want nonsense. Mm-hmm. And I've written 5 pages in a script and then looked at it and went, nope, toss the whole thing aside and have them do 2 actions and leave the room, and I told the same story, we're done. But I had to get all that out of me. I had to kind of write it all out, thinking it's got to be this, and it's got to be that, and then you realize I don't need any of that. Mm-hmm. Now I know from doing it what the core message is for that scene, and then you just jump right to it. Mm-hmm. And it's so much more powerful. But it's a process.
Oh yeah.
You can't be married to everything you've written down. It's gonna change and have to meld in with other stuff that you've written, and then it ends up being better. Mm-hmm. So don't be afraid of it. People just go.
Yeah. Yep. And I noticed with because I get writer's block really bad. So what I had ended up doing with my first book was I know there's certain ideas that I want for sure in the book. So, say I'm working on like a chapter, and then I get to this part, I'm like, I cannot think of what I want to do from here to here. So then I start writing the part that I know at some point is going to be in the book. So I did that with the first book a lot. I would write a big old part up here, and then a big part down here, and then one kind in the middle, and then here, and then I'd start connecting them all. And that made my writer's block a lot better.
Yeah, no, for sure. You can approach it a bunch of different ways. The one thing I have learned, though, is you got to know where you're going. Mm-hmm. You got to have the end point before you start. Yeah. And then usually I have some beginning in mind, because that's always kind of visually what jumps into my brain. Mm-hmm. And then it's how you get there. It's all about, those moments and bridging those moments sometimes. Because that's what you had to do, is you kind of did things out of order, and you got to bridge them. Like, how do you tie them together?
Yeah.
Right? So it's a trick, but it's, I don't get writer's block as much as I just hit lazy button. I don't
That's why I love Chris. Chris is my Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's very honest like that. Chris, you have a block now, just lazy.
I just don't feel like sitting down and doing it, and then I feel, then it's stuck in your brain for how long, right? You're pressuring yourself, you got to do it, and you got to do it, and
right.
I'll hurt myself, and when I finally sit down, it's like, why did I wait?
Yeah.
One of the things I've learned is if I'm really in the middle of something, I have to set aside time. So and I just have to go and kind of get in a routine and go sit down. And if I stare at the page for 2 hours, I stare at the page for 2 hours. But usually you don't. Usually you get moving. Mm-hmm. And once you're going on something, I'm waking up all night writing down notes, because you get ideas as you're going. I'm constantly, most of the time I can make sense of them. Every now and then they're complete nonsense. I'm sure you guys have done that. You wake up and you look at your notes and it's gibberish. Like, it's...
You're like,
I wrote my notes in green on. I don't know what I was doing.
That's like the Seinfeld episode. Yeah, like, what the hell was this? Can somebody decipher this, please?
That was a great show.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, it's well, Chris, I can tell you too, because Chris gets really immersed in his writing, and if I write to him and he'll write like writing or whatever in the middle of writing, I try not to bug him, mm-hmm. because he'll come right on time to like focused writing, and when he's on that roll, just leave him alone and let him roll. Mm-hmm. He's like a race car driver with his foot on the gas. Don't try to get in front of him, because he will roll right over you.
And after I worked with years and years ago, I doubled him on some stuff. And he was a Canadian guy, but he was an artist. And he would do these line drawings where as soon as you put the pen down, you don't lift it up.
Mm-hmm.
You never lift it off the paper again, and you do the whole drawing. Okay, it's kind of a very interesting medium to do it that way. And he was great. And he told me he'd be working on something, and his wife would come in and go, "How's it going?" And the answer was always, "It was going well."
Oh shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's why I don't bug Chris. He's pretty direct too. He's the kindest man in the world, but when he's on a roll, he is focused, and to let you know that. So it's like,
I've gotten better about not being disrupted so badly by stuff because life happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about you guys, but one of the things I've really found that's interesting for storytelling is like I think I'm getting disrupted, and I come back and I'll get back in the mode and just pick right up where I was.
Yeah.
Or I'll come back a month later and be rereading something that's much further back, and I'll go, "Oh, I need to do this, this, and this," and then I realize I did them all.
Yeah.
Like they're in there already.
Yep. You don't realize how far you actually are on certain things too. You're like,
well, you don't realize sometimes like the ideas that are already there and you put them in.
Uh-huh.
You know, you're looking at that going, "Ooh, I think I need to add this. I need to talk about that." And you're like, "Oh, I already did. Okay."
Yeah.
You know, I might have approached it differently the second time, and sometimes you make little changes like on where, you know, the order of stuff, but for the most part it's there. So I feel like it's kind of that whole, you know, the old adage about sculpting is like, you know, cut away everything that doesn't belong and then you got it.
Mm-hmm.
So start with the rock and just start chipping away until, you know, the Statue of David comes out, because that's what was inside.
Yeah.
So it kind of feels like that sometimes with the stories, like you innately know, or somewhere deep down your psyche, you know, and you know, you're just letting them free.
Yeah, Chris, if I could, I know if your wife just wrote a book and came up with a book too, and so I know you have a lot of talent in your family. Do you guys draw inspiration off each other, considering you're both so you have that literary prowess?
Yeah, no, of course I discuss things with, you know, we discuss them with each other just to kind of to bounce ideas, because you got an ear. And sometimes I just need to hear it vocalized from me, and I'm just thinking out loud, but it's somebody's actually, you know, there letting you bounce, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's all you need. You don't actually want anyone to say anything. You just need to say it out loud. And then you go, "Oh, wait, I know what to do. Never mind."
Mm-hmm. I hold that thought.
Yeah.
Well, other times I find that if I ask advice, people have no idea what I'm actually talking about. You know, as well as I think I'm describing it. And then they go off on complete tangents that have nothing to do with what I'm trying to get to. But every now and then, those tangents give you something. Like they either lead me there in a roundabout way, or they give me something for a different part.
Yeah.
I'm like, let me take that note, and then, okay, thanks, that didn't really help, but, you know, sometimes it's just something you have to sort out on your own, how you want to do it, because, you know, when you're writing something, it's just like an acting job or anything else. You see it a certain way, you feel it a certain way, you're hoping to pull it off a certain way, and that's your vision, right? It's not somebody else's, so you're the one who has to do it, and you have to try to translate that somehow. You know, so that's the trick always, is trusting yourself and translating what your vision is, and you know, letting it go. And sometimes you'll miss the mark, but, you know, keep reading if you're a writer. Keep reading.
Yeah.
And then you'll realize, you'll pick up something somewhere else, and that's how I needed to do it. And you go back and clean it up, and you got it. So.
Yep. Yeah. Whenever I have when I can't think of where I'm wanting to go with it, or I can't quite think of how I'm wanting it to be, I'll either watch certain movies, or I will read certain books that are kind of in the same genre as mine. And then it gets where I'm like, okay. So then you get like more creative because you're reading somebody else's work, and you're like, all right, I kind of know where I want to go with this.
Yeah, and the reality is people bounce off of each other, and you take ideas from other places, or you use them as inspiration. I mean, but that's how you get good.
Yeah.
That's how artists through time. I mean, you look at famous artists who had famous teachers, and invariably they'll paint the same picture, the same painting as the teacher did, a variation of it.
Mm-hmm.
You're copying.
Yeah.
And you're using it as a technique, as a technique kind of bounce board. You're learning.
Mm-hmm.
Again, though, all of it always comes from your heart. It's got to come from you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how technically good you are. You still got to put yourself into it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It kind of inspires me, I guess, to keep working when I'm like, you know what? They have a damn good book here. And then just, because I'm into like the paranormal and the dark horror and stuff like that. So reading something like that kind of gets my head going again to where I'm like, all right, I need to get mine done. I need to get this going.
Well, it puts you in the right mindset,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes you've got life going on, and it's hard to kind of stay in there yourself. I mean, that goes back to, asking somebody questions or using a bounce board. You've got another person there, another energy kind of working on your same project with you for a second. It's the same as like looking at a movie that you like, you're inspired by. Mm-hmm. Same idea, you kind of get back into that mode. You can't always get there that easily yourself because you've got distractions.
Mm-hmm.
You got bills to pay and things to clean up and whatever, errands to run, and then you're trying to dive right in. So sometimes you need a little transition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you ever, since we're talking about books, do you remember these? Did you guys ever read these?
I never really read those.
I didn't read them, but I remember them.
Oh,
I remember them.
And like he's known for, so I loved these as a kid, and I would always go and rent them from the library and stuff. And Alvin Schwartz is the writer, and he's, like this dark writer. And so they've been like they were trying to ban them and stuff because there's, they're horror and they're kind of graphic, but the art inside of them are amazing. And it's amazing how many people remember these from childhood. You gotta read it.
So everybody go out, pick up your scary stories. I'm sure you can find them all over Amazon, right, Rhiannon?
Yeah. The only problem is, so they used to be big. They used to be kind of like longer, and now they're all condensed. So it's really hard to find those original ones, but the pictures inside are so scary. That's why they were trying to ban them, is because the pictures were just so creepy, and parents were all freaking out. But
when were they first written?
Back in the 80s, I believe.
Yeah, I was going to say probably tame by today's standards.
I was going to say.
Yeah,
right.
Same going back to the Blob versus,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
like Disney.
That's true.
Yeah. Hey, what do you think, Chris? Have you? I know you've seen Psycho. Did you ever follow up and watch Psycho 2 from 1980? I believe it's
No.
Honestly, it would behoove you to watch that if you like Psycho. And I know a lot of times sequels or follow-ups don't do the original justice, but this one really does. Anthony Perkins brought it. And it actually is another surprise sort of twist ending, which you don't think they could duplicate the first one. But it is such a compliment to the first one. So if you have a chance, people have to go and watch Psycho 2. If you've never seen Psycho 1 from 1960, watch that first, then go out and watch Psycho 2. Mm-hmm. And I believe that was 1983. It could be 82, but I'm pretty sure it's 83. Right around there. 81 maybe. Right in there. I know it's one of the early 80s. So I'm drawing a little blank on it right now. But awesome stuff, Chris. I know you've got some killing to do tonight. I appreciate you taking the time, man.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure.
I got to turn into a pumpkin later, so.
Aww. Well, I'm glad you came on with us. And that's
awesome.
Yeah,
it was good to hang out with you guys. It's good to chat.
Definitely.
Yeah, you're the best. And if I know we're going to give the shout outs and things too, Rhiannon, before we go. But I can, if I can do some of that right now, Rhiannon, I will.
Yeah, of course.
Since I'm already on a roll, I mean, what the hell? Chris, again, thank you so much, brother. Over these course of a few months, again, the first show was awesome, and this one is such a different dynamic just from getting to know you. It's been such an honor. I feel blessed every day. It's such a treat. to be able to call you a friend, and it's an honor. So thank you for coming on and joining us, especially on this Halloween, Michael. But it was so gracious of you to come on and take the time to do this. And I know you're very, very busy. I know that your whole family is. So thank you, pal. And I love you, buddy. And to Rhiannon, I love you, kid. I'm so proud of you. You did your reading tonight before that we taped.
Thank you.
And it was awesome. And I know you were nervous and you killed it. And again, this is kind of the Halloween show. It's kind of like it's like Christmas, New Year, all wrapped into one, right? Our Halloween, our holiday being the podcast that we do. And to everybody out there, Chris mentioned keeping your spirits up. Spirits on Halloween. But do that. Go do something that you enjoy. Do something with your family. If you're alone, go do something that you enjoy. Being selfish is not necessarily a bad thing. There is a healthy level of narcissism. So if you need to spend some time on yourself, do that. It's hard right now, so do what you need to do to get yourself through it right. Watch something you enjoy. Go back and forth with good people, as I have in Rhiannon and Chris, too. So I love you both. Thank you. To my wife, Allison, I love you, baby. Thank you for being born. To my boys, Daddy loves you forever and always. And to everybody out there, chins up. It ain't over until you say it's over. I love you both. Thank you to Mr. Co-host, Chris Durand. And awesome, Rhiannon and Nicole.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm going to scoot, but everyone stay safe out there. Okay, we'll get back to this. We'll be back next year stronger. And have a happy Halloween, you guys.
Happy Halloween.
Love you. Thanks, Chris.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Much love to everybody out there. Sinister Parlour Podcast every Saturday night, Rhiannon, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Rhiannon, go ahead with your shout-outs, my friend.
All right. So I want to thank Chris Durand for being our special co-host tonight on Halloween night. That means a lot to us. He's an amazing person, amazing friend, incredible actor. We just couldn't be more grateful for that. I want to thank you, as always, for being my co-host. I love you. I love your family. You guys are amazing, and I couldn't do this without you. I want to thank My Indie Productions for always putting our show out and, keeping all of the indie artists in this little community and promoting us constantly. Johnny Ellenberger for doing our intro and our logo, and Chris Atella for doing our outro music, and then our iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts intro and outro. And I want to give a shout out to Crazy Ink Publishing for publishing my books, Broken Halo Blood Curse. Oh, where do I go? That way. And my third book is now available on paperback, Broken Halo Witches Game. The electronic version will be out in January. But right now, we have a 21-book box set coming out called Possessed by Passion. It's 21 authors. It's dark paranormal romance, and it is on pre-order for 99 cents. So you get all 21 books for 99 cents. Go to possessedbypassion.com, and all of our links will be there on social media, Amazon, Kobo, Apple Books, Instagram, Facebook, all of that. So check that out. Follow us. Buy it, please. And then tomorrow, Sunday, me and Diana Register, who is also an author, and she is in the box set as well, are going to be locked down at the cemetery. And we're going to be live streaming from the cemetery. It's fucking haunted, so I'm kind of nervous and scared, but whatever, we have to do it. Because we're going to have it to where there's a certain way to get us out of the cemetery, and it all has to do with Possessed by Passion. So
Wait, Leanna, I just heard somebody jog by me. I don't know what that's about. If that has anything to do with the cemetery,
I am so.
But you're gonna have a blast doing that. I can tell that already.
No.
And I want to concur quickly. I want to give a special shout out, as you said, to My Indie Productions. The Thai Groupman is always so supportive.
Yes.
Is always sharing our stuff. Is always lifting people up in that group. He's awesome. So we thank the Thai Groupman and My Indie Productions. And we love you, bud, and everybody out there that helps with the show and supports the show. We have so many awesome people out there. Sam Fowler, as we see, always comments on our show positively. Ryan Brochu from Daddy's Spot Canada. My friend John Mondu, who I will see today, Halloween, which is very exciting for me. I've known John for 4+ decades now. And he's awesome, very supportive. Everybody out there, my mother-in-law, Everybody out there has been so awesome and supportive. So we're glad that you guys are enjoying what you're seeing. We're going to keep bringing it to people, Rhiannon. This is kind of, again, a big holiday for us, Halloween. So we love you all out there. Thank you. And we're bringing it even hotter after Halloween, Rhiannon. Damn right.
All right, bye, everyone.